Have you ever seen anything like that in terms of their commitment to those players?
I'm excited to see what Eala has left in the draw, because we are talking about a player that is somebody that we're going to see for many years. And this is her first time at the BNP Paribas Open, so everything is a new experience.
Thank you. Thank you.
She packed an entire stadium 6 hours before her match even started. She had fans sitting in freezing cold desert air, wrapped in blankets, waving Filipino flags at midnight, just to watch a second-round match. The tournament director himself said he had never seen anything like it in his entire career.
I've arrived at Indian Wells, so please come and show your support. Hello mga kababayan, manood kayo sa akin dito sa Indian Wells. Kita-kita tayo dito. Bye!
And then, the very same tournament turned around and handed her the single most brutal scheduling setup of the entire draw. And nobody in the tennis world said a word. Until now. Because the facts of what happened to Alex Eala at Indian Wells 2026 are sitting right in front of us.
No, it's great. The reaction to my comments on Alex Eala almost made me a minor celebrity in the Philippines for a few hours. I think there was people clipping it up and putting it on their social media feeds. It just shows you that this girl has got star power times 10. She's absolutely gold dust for the WTA Tour, and they really need to hope that she can kick on from where she is now and try and get to that next level, which is top 20, which she's not far off, and hopefully top 10. I know you now think, haven't seen her this week, that she's got the game to get there, and I'm really excited to see what can come from Alex Eala. She's such a ray of light in the women's game, and women's tennis needs kind of new heroes to come through.
The sequence of events, the court assignments, the scheduling decisions, the timing. And when you lay it all out, it paints a picture that is impossible to ignore. So today, we are laying it all out, every single detail. And you are going to be furious by the end of this video. Let's go.
But most of all, I think just nothing much has changed within our dynamic, and we try not to make a big deal out of these things. And when I mean these things, I mean,
let's set the scene, because context is everything. Long lines had already formed outside Stadium 3 6 hours before the start of Alexandra Eala's second-round match against Diana Yastremska. Holding Filipino flags and wearing shirts that read, Alexandra Eala Fan Club. Hundreds of enthusiastic fans looked desperate to make their way inside. And there were still 2 matches to be played before Eala even stepped on court. This wasn't a scheduled night session on the main stadium. This wasn't a primetime slot. This was a second-round match. And the place was already stuffed to the gills with some of the most passionate tennis fans the sport had ever seen. At Stadium 3, where fans sat in the cool night for a second-round match. It's rare at Indian Wells, or pretty much any tennis tournament, to see such a sizable and raucous crowd for a late-night second-round match. They weren't there to see a superstar like Carlos Alcaraz or Jannik Sinner. They were there to see the 31st ranked player in the world. Let that land. Not Alcaraz, not Sinner, not Sabalenka. They stayed up past midnight, freezing in the California desert, to watch a second-round match involving a 20-year-old Filipina. And hundreds of fans also packed a tiny practice court under the Palm Springs sun just to watch Eala's noon practice, while men's stars Alexander Zverev and Taylor Fritz, a Southern California native and former champion, could only reel in a handful of fans on the courts right next to her. Read that again. Zverev and Taylor Fritz, American Golden Boy, former Indian Wells champion, sitting next to Alex Eala at practice. And Eala pulls the crowd. Her, at practice. Not even a match. The woman is a walking stadium sellout. The Indian Wells tournament director Tommy Haas said live on the Tennis Channel, "No, I have never seen anything like that," when asked about the commitment of Filipino and Brazilian fans. No, he had never seen it.
Atmosphere, same for Eala, having all the Philippine fans from coming, to support her. It's fantastic. And
the man who has run this tournament for years, who has watched champions come and go through tennis paradise, said he had never witnessed this kind of electricity. That was his own testimony, on camera to the world. So here is the question that nobody wants to ask out loud. If your tournament has never seen this level of fan devotion for a single player, if Eala is so clearly the biggest draw at the event that fans come 6 hours early, pack practice sessions, stay until midnight in freezing cold, why on earth would you schedule her like a player you wanted to break? Let's talk about exactly what happened. And let me be precise, because precision is where the truth lives. Indian Wells made both main stadiums ticketed for the first time in tournament history in 2026. First time ever. They locked off the premium courts behind a paywall. Now, for most players, this is irrelevant. For Alex Eala, this was a potential disaster, because her fans, more than 1.7 million Filipinos in California alone, many of them are not wealthy enough to pay premium prices for ticketed stadium seats. There was a very real fear that Eala's match would be locked off to ground pass holders entirely. The fans were terrified. The community was outraged online. And the tournament, only after feeling the pressure, confirmed that Eala's second-round match would be on Court 3, accessible to ground pass holders. The media spun it as a gift, as a tournament being gracious and kind, as Indian Wells looking out for Eala's fans. But let's be honest about what that actually was. Court 3 at Indian Wells holds 4,500 people. Alex Eala was filling that stadium for a second-round match, while Zverev couldn't pull a crowd at the court right next door. This wasn't generosity. This was damage control. They put her on Court 3 and patted themselves on the back for it, while Eala's fans packed every seat and stood in the cold for hours.
Tough match. Yeah, I think she played super well. I don't think I was able to find my groove, and nothing clicked for me.
Nothing clicked. For a player who has beaten Swiatek, who has beaten Keys, who has beaten Paulini, who beat Goff in that very same tournament, nothing clicked. And everyone in the media just nodded along and said, well, Noskova was too good. Noskova, who finished with 7 aces and 25 winners against a player who looked nothing like herself from the very first point. And here is the brutal, unflattering truth about the surface itself. Indian Wells is widely regarded as having one of the slowest surfaces on the professional tour. According to Tennis Abstract, Indian Wells had a court speed of 0.73 in 2025, the slowest hard courts on the WTA Tour. And where has Eala done her best work? Eala has enjoyed her best results on fast or medium-pace courts, such as the Miami Open, Guadalajara, and Dubai. So you take a left-handed, aggressive baseline player who thrives on pace, who wins by creating angles at speed, and you put her on the slowest hard courts on the entire tour. Then you schedule her last on the card. Then you let Noskova, a power server who had full rest, pound 25 winners past a player who had nothing left in the tank. And Greg Rusedski, the former British #1, watched all of this unfold on the Tennis Channel and said out loud what every knowledgeable fan was already thinking. After watching Eala at Indian Wells, Rusedski said on his Off Court Cuts podcast,
Eala, I see so much room for potential. It's almost a player I'd love to work with on her serve. Let the coach be there. I just feel like she can get more benefit out of it, more accuracy, more power. I think she's going to possibly crack the top 10 this year. That's how good she is mentally. Tactically, she got a little bit wrong. with some of her shot selection, and she wasn't really getting much off the serve. So that's the positive. There's a lot of upside with her. So I think the future is very bright. Lefty moves exceptionally well, competes incredibly well. The movement's there. The firepower is getting better. It's a gradual build-up. She's really getting into her body. I like the way she thinks tactically. She's very astute out there. And for all the pressure and expectation that are on her shoulders, she's finding a way to push through. It's not easy when you have an opponent who's injured out there. Just put down the hammer. She was down 2-1 in the opening set, down a break, then 6-2, 2-love, and retirement from golf.
And then they put her on the slowest court in professional tennis, last on the night card, running on empty. The tournament itself couldn't stop talking about how great she was for business. BNP Paribas Open executive Philippe Dor said, "We love every minute of it. We benefit from it. We promote it. They benefit from it. They said it themselves." The tournament director said he had never seen anything like the Filipino fan support. The tournament executive said they benefit from Eala's presence. And then the scheduling decisions they made actively undermined her ability to compete at her best level. You can't have it both ways. You cannot use a player as your marketing centerpiece, posting a day-in-the-life video with her that became the most watched YouTube video the tournament had posted all year by a massive margin, and then slot her into tournament conditions that were systematically harder than those given to her opponents. And here is the part that will haunt Indian Wells for a very long time. Because when this story really gets written, when Alex Eala wins her first Grand Slam, when she cracks the top 10, when she becomes the player that Greg Rusedski and Paul Annacone and everyone else who has watched her believes she is going to be, people will look back at Indian Wells 2026. They will look back at the scheduling. They will look back at the courts. They will look back at the surface speed. They will look back at the late-night slot against a rested, powerful opponent. And they will ask the same question fans are asking right now. Was it intentional? Was it neglect? Was it corporate greed wrapping itself in congratulatory press releases while quietly making life harder for the one player who didn't come from an establishment background? The one player who didn't arrive backed by a wealthy federation's resources? The one player who did it all on sheer talent and heart from the Rafael Nadal Academy? What we do know is this. Alex Eala became the first player from the Philippines to ever play a match in the main draw at Indian Wells. And she turned that opportunity into a fourth-round appearance that included a dramatic 3-set win and an upset of Coco Gauff, her third top-5 win in under a year. What we do know is that Eala said, "I did not expect this sort of fan base or crowd rallying behind me, but it's an incredible privilege to have. And it's not something your everyday person can experience, so I'm always so grateful." She's grateful. She is always grateful. While the tournament counts its record gate receipts and calls Eala's fans fantastic for the sport, she is standing there being grateful for an opportunity that was already hers by right, by talent, by ranking, by achievement. She earned that court. She earned Stadium 1. She earned a fair schedule. She earned a fair shot. And Eala said after leaving Indian Wells, "I know that I belong here. I've grown a lot and I've had so many good matches, so many tough losses, so much experience since then. And that's helped me build confidence, self-esteem, and I know that I belong here." She knows she belongs. And that is the sentence that should scare every tournament director, every scheduler, every establishment figure in tennis who thought a 20-year-old from the Philippines could be managed, could be contained, could be slotted into whatever corner was most convenient and accept it with a smile. She won't accept it. She knows she belongs. And Miami is next. Miami, where last year, coming in as a wild card ranked 140th with nobody giving her a single chance, she dismantled 3 Grand Slam champions back to back to back and announced herself to the world. Miami, where she said, "Miami last year was a beautiful time for me."
It was a beautiful time for me, and it, like you said, was the start of all of this. But since then, I've achieved a lot as well, and I've grown a lot, and I've had so many good matches, so many tough losses, so much experience since then. And that's helped me build confidence,
The girl who arrived at Miami 2025 as an unknown is now arriving at Miami 2026 as a seeded, top 30, career-high-ranked player with wins over Swiatek, Keys, Goff, Paulini, and Ostapenko on her resume. She is the Manny Pacquiao of tennis, the figure that a nation of over 115 million people has been waiting for since, as Filipino sports journalist TJ Manitok put it, the country has been hungry for the next Manny Pacquiao. When he was at his peak, life stopped. Life stops for Alex Eala now. It stopped at Indian Wells. It will stop at Miami. And someday, on a court the size of Arthur Ashe, at Roland Garros, at Wimbledon, it will stop for the entire world. Indian Wells got to use her name, got to use her fans, got to use her story to sell tickets and rack up YouTube views. But they did not give her what she deserved. And now you know it. Now you've seen it. Now the question isn't whether Indian Wells was fair to Alex Eala. The question is, what happens when she gets to a tournament that actually is? She's coming. And she is absolutely, completely, unstoppably coming. If you're riding with Alex Eala from 140 to number 1, smash the like button right now and subscribe. Miami is next, and this story just got a whole lot bigger.